2008 when it was just crazy times in the furniture business with the real estate bubble and crash.
When you have these seasonal sales, like especially ones that are ubiquitous across the industry, what tends to happen is that
the number one headache I hear from owners is it's so hard to find good help. I mean, I've got a guy that we ran a sale for a couple months ago, and he's out driving the delivery truck, and
the core items that people are coming in for, they want that bed, maybe a dining room set, sofa sectional, big purchases, people might be coming into a clearance sale, their eye on. But then you have all these
we do sales training with their employees, their salespeople, and then we also have additional salespeople that we bring in. So
welcome to another episode of the Couch Pod. Today I'm joined by Chris Dickason, Executive Director of Sales at Lynch Sales. This is a company that has been running furniture sales, clearance sales for the furniture industry for over 100 years. And today he's going to break down the story of Lynch Sales and also how to run an amazing furniture sale in the event that you need to raise liquidity. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So there are very few companies that are around for 100 plus years, and that must be an incredible story. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how things got started and the evolution to where you guys are at today.
Yeah, for sure. Joseph Lynch founded the company back in 1914, and it's third generation now. So Mr. Lynch came upon an idea to help retailers with promotional events or closing, moving, all kinds of different events, and just specialize in those types of events to create, excitement and sell a lot and get more traffic. So it, obviously starting back, this is like World War I times, and then we went through the Great Depression and World War II and, inflation of the 70s and, and then up through, 2008 when it was just crazy times in the furniture business with the real estate bubble and crash, and to today's time. So I'm getting a lot of calls about tariffs, and people are worried about traffic and sales suffering because of the uncertainty. So yeah, we've really been through a ton of this stuff in our history. And my family, we actually did an event with Lynch Sales back 30 years ago. In the part of the country where I'm from, at Oklahoma, we were a very oil-based economy, and oil was not doing well. It was like $10 a barrel, and so nobody was buying furniture, as you can imagine, when they weren't making any money. So Lynch helped us close our store with dignity and helped us pay all our bills. And so my father and I, we went to work for Lynch Sales Company. So there have been two generations of Dickasons that have worked at Lynch Sales. So yeah, it's a great family company and a great history. And we work with mostly, family-owned retailers.
It's such a unique idea or concept to come in and just execute like a momentary event, trend, like once in a while for a business that needs it. So do you know how the original idea was conceived?
It was basically Joseph Lynch thought he could do it better than, most retailers when it came to a special event and creating a buzz. And because a lot of retailers, even up into today, are really good at everyday, day-to-day business, right? But a special event comes up every once in a while, and they don't really know how to do that very well. And they can't really do it if it's going to be successful with the existing staff and advertising and stuff that they're used to using. So that's kind of where we come in. So it's really the basic same premise as Mr. Lynch started 3 generations ago, and obviously changed to the marketing times of today.
Before we get into the mechanics of how to actually execute a great sale, clearance event, what are some of the indications that you should be running a sale?
Well, a lot of the people that I talk to, let's say their sales have been, going down year over year, or margins are suffering, or inventory keeps creeping up, bills are stacking up. Most people call us when they're, in a little bit of additional oomph in their business. But then, some people are also calling us if they're moving locations or opening a new store or just retiring.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And I want to highlight this because it does contrast a little bit with the traditional logic of running sales that I see in a lot of businesses, which is it's basically just seasonal. They have their calendar every 4th of July, we're going to do a sale. Every Labor Day, we're going to do a sale. But that actually has nothing to do with what's happening internally at the business or the image that you're trying to project. It's just like, we just hit another Christmas season. We just hit another, Labor Day weekend. And so it's time to run a sale.
Yeah. Everybody has their kind of calendar that they go through every year. And that's a great thing. But this is just kind of a once every few years type of event that our repeat clients will do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I did some research into this. And when you have these seasonal sales, like that, especially ones that are ubiquitous across the industry, what tends to happen is that traffic does tend to increase. So you'll get more visitors to your store, you'll get more visitors to your website, but it doesn't necessarily correspond to an increase in conversion rate, particularly when you're talking about web sales. I think if someone's in your store, okay, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to convert. But on the web, people are just browsing, especially like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And so, retailers are offering these steep discounts just on a seasonal basis, not corresponding to any internal logic with their business. And then they end up just discounting products that customers may have bought anyway. Whereas timing a sale with respect to like a liquidity crunch or having too much inventory or needing to clear out a store, now you have an objective that is like, you just have an objective other than like, we're going to run a sale. And, that feels very powerful to me.
Rather than just filling up the calendar, it's like, okay, it's time we need to do something and act.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned like closing down a store, moving to a new location, having too much inventory, like needing to create some oomph in your business. Is that basically the spectrum?
Yeah, there's also, like I talked to a guy yesterday about generation is one person's retiring and kind of passing the torch to the next generation or the management or whatever. We always try in these events, even if you are hurting cash wise, we don't ever call it, to the public a cash raising event or stuff like that. We always try to put a positive spin on it. So, that's a really great positive is that, hey, the older generation is retiring, the younger generation is carrying forward. So we're going to sell off a lot of this older furniture to bring in new and exciting looks and have a big, celebration.
Oh, I love that. I love that angle. The end goal is probably the same. You need to raise cash or you need to clear out inventory, but it's the positive spin. And I could see both sides of that too, right? Like there's something about a celebration and having a big event that gets people excited. But then there's also the draw of like, we're doing a major blowout clearance, but just having that like positive connotation to it projects strength rather than weakness. Hey, the business is going under.
Yes, exactly. Like I saw an ad of another company that does what we do, and it was more tailored to the crazy low prices. It's a pricing bloodbath, like just weird, kind of a negative connotation. Whereas we're just trying to put a positive spin on this stuff.
I see. Yeah, and there must be a lot more of those events going on nowadays. I mean, they call it the silver tsunami, right? Like the baby boomers retiring and
yes, a lot of people retiring. The kids aren't interested in the furniture business. They have jobs that they do. And so, yes. And plus gosh, the number one headache I hear from owners is it's so hard to find good help. I've got a guy that we ran a sale for a couple of months ago, and he's out driving the delivery truck and delivering furniture, and he's in his 60s, and because he can't find good help. And then the wife is on the sales floor because they can't find good sales help either. So it's like you've got this big store filled with millions of dollars worth of furniture, but you can't find anyone to help you or anyone that wants to work hard, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So among your customers, I know you've worked with some really big brands throughout the years. 110 years in business. Maybe you could give us an idea of like who some of, I don't know if you're able to share this, but like.
Yeah, for sure. Like we have some testimonials on our website. People write us letters of recommendation all the time. So they're more than happy to use their name. So, man, all over the country, up in the Northeast, we've done business with like Stickley Furniture, Lily and August Furniture, a bunch of like Thomasville stores. Those have kind of gone away, but that brand has. But, it's still, yeah, that's right. They're in Costco now. Somebody brought the brand and now they're bringing in cheap imports under that brand. But, that's a brand that everybody knows. Like down in Florida, we've done multiple sales for Bears Furniture, which is kind of a family chain. Down in Texas, we worked with Lewis Shanks several times. And up in the Pacific Northwest, we work with stores like Mason's, a high-end design-oriented store, Selden's. In California, we haven't done a lot of business in California. I don't know why, but maybe because we're, East Coast based more. But all over the place. I mean, we've done business in 49 states, so we've never done a sale in Hawaii. But I think probably because it's so hard to get our staff over there for a reasonable price. But anyway, upper end, middle to high end stores are kind of our focus at all family businesses. So anyone in the furniture industry knows somebody that's used us for sure.
Amazing. Now, let's say I want to run a sale, and give me like the timeline from like I have the idea, I want to run a sale, to actually planning the event, to executing the sale, and then all the work following up after.
Yeah, so I usually talk to somebody, for a month or two about what we do and give them a projection of what I think the sales will be, the margins will be, the expenses will be, and then how much, they'll make in cash created from selling off inventory and profits. And so from then, it's kind of the ball's in their court. I'm kind of, I'm not calling them all the time, hounding them. I'm like, hey, if you want to do it, it's a great thing. And then usually, once they decide they want to do something, I need about a month's worth of, lead time to assemble the staff, because what we do is we put what we call a sales conductor who conducts the event. He works for Lynch and is kind of the manager of the event. So he manages the sales staff, works directly with the owners to talk about the marketing plan, the pricing, floor setup, signage, you name it. So that month before, we're planning all that advertising. So we actually make custom banners that go into their windows to kind of help celebrate the event. So it's not like cookie cutter sale, like you always see a sale sign like in their window. So we make custom banners with wording that we like to use that is attention grabbing and positive and, sends a message to the customer. We always say it's not business as usual in this type of event. So, and that's kind of the theme. So normally you do business this way, but when we do a big event, it's not business as usual. So, and then we usually close the store a few days before the event to kind of help create this aura as well. So, and that helps us to reprice everything on the showroom floor, put up our signs. This gives the owner time to bring in some other merchandise from their warehouse or whatever to kind of spruce up the floor. So, but also, that previous time we're planning all the advertising. So, and we work hand in hand with the owner. So I don't just do the advertising and that's it. The owner approves everything that we do. So here's what, we'd like to use for your TV ads or your streaming services ads. They approve that. Here's what our direct mail piece is going to look like. They approve that. And and we have a guy that does all of our digital. So Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, all that stuff. And the owner approves every ad. He does all the creative, 3 times a week he's doing new posts. Owner approves everything. So there's a lot that goes on, and it's quite a bit of preparation as well as during the event.
So I want to go through not each piece, but a lot of the pieces that you just mentioned and break them down a little bit more. One thing that was really interesting to me is like, based on your experience, the data that you have, you can look at the available inventory and just like the layout of the store and get a sense for how you think a sale is going to perform. So you're able to do projections. How do you do that? Like maybe.
I mean, it's just based on really, my experience in the industry, done over 500 of these events and $1 billion in sales. And it's really more, each different event is more like a mathematical model that will do this much business than it is, it's definitely not a guess. It's very educated and based on, what we've done in the past and the certain type of sale as well. I mean, for example, a closing sale, when I create projections, I say, hey, we're probably going to do at least 9 months worth of volume in a 8-week time period. And some stores will do way more than that, or will do that business in a shorter amount of time or whatever. But, I like to give them a conservative number because, that makes a happy client and they'll write us a nice testimonial. If they say, hey, Chris told me, you can look on our website and it'll say, Chris told me we do that and his numbers were spot on, or, hey, we exceeded our goal by 50%, or, hey, we hit our goals in 4 weeks, so we didn't have to spend another, 4 weeks of advertising, so we put more money in our pocket. So I try and be conservative. A closing sale will do at least 9 months worth of sales volume in a 8-week time period. A promotional event where we're just trying to sell off some additional inventory will do anywhere from 25 to 35% of their annual volume in a 4 to 5 week time period. A retirement generation passing sale will do anywhere from 35 to 50% of their annual volume. So obviously my projections are going to be on the conservative, the bottom kind of number, because we like to meet and exceed those.
Understood. So if I understand correctly, then the data that you're looking at is the business's P&L.
I mean, I don't actually look at the business's P&L. I kind of take them at their word as far as the numbers go, because the numbers I need really are sales for the last couple of years and year to date, current inventory levels, how much they spend on advertising, what their salespeople make as far as commissions and stuff. But I really kind of take them at their word. And, that has gotten me, in a pickle when they don't give me the right information, right? So, but I'm not going to ask them. I'm not a banker. I'm not going to say, well, I want to see your tax returns and your balance sheet and, all that stuff. That's just not what we do.
Makes total sense. Okay. But like you have an understanding of their business model based on what they tell you. And then you also have an understanding of the kind of event that you're going to run. And you've run like different kinds of events many, many, many times before. And so you have an idea of like, okay, based on this size of business and this kind of event, here are the outcomes that we can expect. And that's the projection that you're giving.
Yeah. So if your business does $2 million a year or your business does $10 million a year, it's obviously going to vary what the event is going to do, but it usually falls under my parameters.
So let's say it's a promotional event, silver tsunami, retiring event kind of thing, instead of a clearance, like we're going out of business sale. I think that's going to be more relevant to our audience at least, right? Because they want to stay in business.
That's right. And that's what we want to do too. We like repeat customers rather than one and done. So, yeah.
So would it be fair to say that gross revenues are going to go up? There's going to be a huge acceleration of revenues. You said something like 9 months in sales in like a 2-month period. That's roughly a 4.5x increase in volume. But then margins are going to go down. What is typical?
So usually, for example, like in a closing sale, like you were talking about 9 months worth of volume, 6 or 7 points lower on their margins. Our average client has margins in the 45 range. So their margins, maybe 39, 40, whatever. And it's, some people
that's net margin, right?
That's not net, that's gross margin. Sorry. That's gross margin. Net margin, they're down in the, net 10 to 20% is usually where most people are. With the increase in volume, the cash flow and the profitability is still, far more than what they're normally doing. And the good thing about these events is if they're continuing in business, they kind of learn some tricks of the trade as well. So, for example, we did a event last year for interiors in Pennsylvania. They're a big dealer there, high-end repeat customer of ours. I think they used us 5 or 6 times for just promotional sales every once in a while. And so their owner, he's like, yeah, we always learn something new when we run a Lynch event because they're really on the cutting edge. So even though we're 110 years old, we're always learning new things and trying them out in sales. And, we're a little more, we can do that better than a normal retailer who's like, kind of stuck on their schedule, right? So we try things in different events, and when they work like gangbusters, we keep using them.
Right. You just get so many at bats that a normal retailer is not going to get. If something works in one market, you can take that knowledge and then roll it out to your entire.
Yeah, and we do try and tailor it also by market for sure, or general area. Obviously East Coast, Midwest, South, out West. Some things are a little bit different, so we try and tailor it to the area of the country as well.
All right. So, two follow-up questions. First is, what are some things that you would consider to be at the cutting edge of running these kinds of events? And then second is, what do you think these regional differences are?
The cutting edge, right now, like our biggest thing that has come on lately that a lot of retailers don't do is the streaming services ads. What's great, we do a lot of TV advertising as well, network TV. We typically focus on morning shows, news, stuff like that. But the streaming services advertising is you're able to target your customers so much better. So you can target certain zip codes, higher income, those more likely to buy furniture, and we get great results from that. It's more kind of bang for your buck, whereas TV, you're just, throwing a bunch of darts and hoping to hit the bullseye. Whereas, with the streaming ads, you can narrow that focus, so it's a lot easier to hit that bullseye.
Yeah. I would imagine a lot of retailers probably don't even know how to run.
Yeah, some are doing it, but a lot of these smaller legacy mom and pop stores, they get overwhelmed by how many marketing channels are out there. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the regional differences are? Like if you're running a sale in the Northeast versus like the South or the Midwest?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like there's also kind of city versus kind of a more out in the country type of difference as well. But, regional differences, it's just more like what advertising works better in some areas. And then also, there's a lot of areas that are more focused on, when retirees come in, you get the snowbirds or whatever, and like in Florida or, in places like Arizona or Las Vegas or whatever, there's a lot of, time of the year differences too. So that carries in. But, it's just small little tweaks. It's hard to nail down one particular area to say they like this way better. But we look at the data from the sales before that we've done in the area and kind of tweak that into what we're doing.
Is there any example that comes to mind, a tweak that you may make for a region?
Yeah, so like I was talking about this sale in Pennsylvania last year, and we typically don't use, in a promotional sale, it was actually a retirement kind of generation passing. So one brother was retiring, the other brother's still involved in the business. But we did use like mobile, like guys that carry signs, the sign walkers or whatever, which are great at attracting drive-by traffic, right? And so we typically wouldn't use that in that scenario in that area, but for whatever reason, that worked really well. It's one of those things you kind of try it out and see how it works, and it worked great. So some areas are good for that and other areas not so much.
Understood. Now I'd like to dig into the details of putting together a marketing plan. So one thing you mentioned at the cutting edge might be streaming, but of course there are all these traditional and newer formats of advertising. So how do you go about, putting together the strategy, deciding the budget allocation, the channels, like who's doing that analysis?
I do the entire marketing plan just based on, my history of doing this for 20 plus years. And basically, we have experts in each field that we work with. So for digital, we have a guy who does our digital that works with furniture stores all over the country and has for years doing digital. And for TV, we have a TV consultant that does all our furniture store buys that works with other furniture stores as well. And then same with our mail house. So typically, we like to kick this off with a direct mail campaign that we have created a mailer that just really draws in a lot of customers for whatever reason. Obviously we've tweaked it over the years, but anyone will tell you that does direct mail, if you get a 2 to 3% response on a direct mail piece, you are going.
Sorry, just to stop you there. Like, how do you know you're getting a response?
Oh, because they have to bring it in, and the traffic, when they come in, we're like, okay, well, we sold or we sent out, 20,000 mailers and we had 400 people in the store. So, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
there's
I
your,
mean, 2 to 3% on a mailer is insane.
it's insane, right? We literally get that all the time. It's crazy. So it's a special event that people are just like, whoa, this is awesome.
Like 3% on a landing page is really good for in most cases, right? So like, and that's like they don't need to leave their house, but if you can get them to get off their couch, drive to your store.
Exactly. To go in their car and go somewhere. Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you mind kind of sharing like what offers look like there?
I mean, it's a copyrighted, thing that we use, and it's based on just creating an excitement and a buzz for this event. And it doesn't, as I said in the beginning, doesn't look like anything they've done before. So it doesn't look like business as usual. So instead of everybody going, oh, it's another Labor Day sale or it's another blah, 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 they go, whoa, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. So
Got it. It's like it's my chance, right? Like now we're
yes, it's my chance. A lot of people will get it and go, oh, well, I've never been able to afford furniture at this really nice store before, but maybe now, they're having this big event. Maybe now I can.
Now, do you send it to it's like their existing mailing list, or you're just targeting like zip codes that you think are wealthy?
Yeah, I mean, we'll use the store's mailing list, and then we'll target zip codes and incomes that we want to attract into the store.
Got it. Okay. So you start with a direct mail campaign in advance of the sale, and then what else are you typically layering?
And then we're loading up usually TV. It depends on the budget. So usually we'll do network TV if the budget's not high enough, like we're getting ready to start an event in a small college town in Kansas. Then we'll hit the cable TV, because cable TV, you can pick different zones you want to be in, and just in that area, they don't have a TV station in this college town. So we'll do TV, and then obviously our digital campaign, which is Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, all that, and then the streaming ads for the streaming services.
Okay, got it. And so putting together the marketing plan, making sure people are aware of the event. Is there anything else leading up to the event that people should be mindful of?
I mean, we do a fair amount of work. So we close the store for a few days before this event starts, but we do that to kind of grease our elbows and get in there and make the store also look like it's not business as usual. So we tighten up all the furniture, and so there's not a lot of place to move. Some people are like, oh, this looks horrible. I mean, my family, when we went through this, my aunt, who was like the interior designer and wanted everything, did all the floor displays. I mean, our showroom was packed full of stuff, and she just about came unglued. But when you have a lot of people in a small amount of space, and then people are looking and buying, and there's a little competition and a little excitement, and it helps create this aura of excitement for everybody.
Absolutely. I think that's probably hugely important. If you think about why casinos make money, it's not just because the games have a house edge, but it's literally in the design and architecture and the layout of the casino itself. They're pumping oxygen in, keep you more alert. They're giving you free drinks. You get a little bit more loose and you're having fun. They're bright lights.
I've never thought about that. That's a good comparison to compare it to like a Vegas casino. Yeah.
And good luck finding an exit, right?
That's right. Or a clock.
Yeah, or a clock. Yeah, I would love to deconstruct that a little bit more too. So you're saying like you rearrange the floor plan, you're creating less space for people to spread out. What else might you change about the environment to try and...
A lot of times we have a really good rug program, so we'll bring in some hand knotted rugs to sell during the event, and so that's something that kind of creates some interest. We usually put those towards the front of the store so people see them when they walk in, also when they walk out, and the rug people have sales staff help sell the rugs and talk to people about them, because most people don't know. You can see them behind me here. Most people don't know anything about rugs really, and they can be less expensive price points up to antiques that are really nice and really expensive. But yeah, it does help create a little more excitement as well.
Really interesting. I mean, like if you go to a grocery store, all the real food is in the back, right? The meat, the seafood, the fruit. And then a lot of people don't realize, like when you walk down those aisles, like even the shelves are designed in a specific way. It's like merchandising, right? So like That's why they say like top shelf liquor versus like bottom shelf liquor. Like retailers are like brands, CPG brands are competing for a certain spot on those shelves. So a lot of this, especially at big corporations, is very well thought out. It's consumer science. And so what led you guys to make the decision to put the rugs at the front of the store?
Well, number one, in these furniture sales, nobody's coming in for rugs, right? So it's kind of a value added thing. So they're like, oh, well, what is this? So if they see them as they walk in, and there are a bunch of people around flipping rugs, and people are buying, and then they kind of can see them from the front of the store if they're in the middle of the store, and then they can also walk by them on the way out. It just gets more, since it's something that they're not really there for, it helps attract them to them. We'll sell, because sometimes the store owner will say, well, I don't really want them in the front of the store. That's where I put all my best stuff. I want to put them in the back. And I say, okay, that's fine. We'll do whatever you want. That's kind of our thing. But you're going to sell probably half as many at the back of the store as you are at the front. So, and I'm always like, you're always going to sell a sofa, whether it's in the front or the back, or a recliner. But these are kind of a value added, so not everybody's in here for them, but they can be up to, we've had sales where they've been like 25% of the business are rugs, and they've never even had rugs in their store. It's crazy.
It makes sense. Like the core items that people are coming in for, they want that bed, maybe a dining room set, sofa sectional, big items, like big furniture items. People are big purchases. People might be coming into a clearance sale, their eye on. But then you have all these like auxiliary items like rugs or maybe a coffee table, things that specifically rugs too. Like it's interesting. I never knew like this about antique rugs. And so there's an opportunity just to entertain and educate.
Yeah. The salespeople are more educating people on rugs because, they're so different, so I've got like one up here on my wall. This is all hand knotted from India, all wool. And then this one over here has wool and silk and doesn't have a fringe, so it's bound. There's tons of, these are like story items where these guys have been overseas and seen them being made by hand. They've got pictures on the wall of the guys making them, and it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, what I want to dig into next is the day of, or the week, the days of the sale, right? Like the actual days of the sale. So like now it's showtime, right? Store is open, customers are flooding in. Do you do this thing where you like try to get people to line up outside the door?
Oh yeah. It's huge. We just started a sale last month in Indiana, small town. Well, not small, probably population 200,000, but there were literally hundreds of people lined up to go in the store. And so I had a guy take a video and all that. But so usually, they'll be lining up starting, sometimes even an hour before the sale starts. It's crazy. But in a few minutes before the store is ready to open, waves will start coming up to get in line. And then we usually open the store like a couple of minutes after actual opening time to kind of help, because people are like, oh my gosh, when are they going to open? I got to get in there. So, and then they open the doors and the flood comes in, and the salespeople, are trying to pick up as many people as possible to help them. But yeah, it's just kind of a flood of people come in, and it's crazy.
Honestly, this might be the most, I don't want to say important, but maybe impactful idea for at least our audience. And the reason is, our guys are not running sales like this once every 3 years, but they have a consistent need for getting people into the store and getting people excited, developing a little bit of competition. If they can take the ideas from how you're getting a line of 100 people, maybe they can get a line of 10 people, and even a line of 10 people would make
even a line of 10 people is great. Yeah.
So how do you generate that kind of hype and excitement? Like, how do you get the line out the door?
Yeah. Well, it's using 110-year-old, thing that we do. That's, to be honest, I'm always scared to death of when an event is getting ready to start. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I hope people show up. And every time it's like people show up and are lined up outside the door before opening on the first day. But yeah, I don't want to give away too many of our secrets, but I think if you create an aura of this is something different and do a good marketing blitz. Anyone in advertising will tell you it's rather than just spending the same amount every month and doing, being the steady Eddie. If you have some months where you go, and you do a lot more, there's better long-term effects of that. And so that's kind of what we do is when we come in, we have a budget and an ad budget, and people are like, you're going to spend how much? And I'm like, well, that's over the term of the sale. So, that's not all up front, so the sales help after the first week fund all that stuff. So, but yeah, it's good. Probably the biggest thing is, do something a little different and advertise a little differently sometimes, and it'll pay dividends.
Yeah. Well, one takeaway here is just instead of spending your ad budget consistently with a daily budget, $100 a day, $100 a day, $100 a day, same channel, same creative, to think of it with the perspective of running a campaign here and there, right? Something new, something fresh. So it's not just like the same old creative, same old channels. Like, you got to switch it up and like actually put some thoughtfulness into like what you're saying and how you're getting it distributed. And the shame is like the devil is definitely in the details, right? And this is what you're talking about. It's the 110-year-old formula, the consumer psychology buying formula. And you're not going to get it right out of the gate. It's definitely, you have to try again, see what works. Maybe we're going to change this font, add this kind of promotion, and then over time you get the mix that really works. So you don't have to give that away. So.
Well, and that's one of the reasons people hire us is that it's a lot easier to hire us and kind of see us in action. And then you can use some of those things year in, year out to just help, generate some more excitement for whatever you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. So simultaneous with running a sale, it's almost like a training event for the business.
It is, yeah. And we do sales training with their employees, their salespeople, and then we also have additional salespeople that we bring in. So number one, we teach them how to close a little bit better because a lot of these salespeople, especially at middle to higher end stores, they have a really long sales process and, they kind of draw it out really longer than they need to. And so we're there to help them learn how to close quickly without acting like a used car salesman, right? So, and then we have additional people that come in that they don't have any sort of client base in this location. They have no ties and they come in and usually are the top 1, 2, 3 riders in these events because they know how to close. So they also get to see how this person really does it, not just have the training, but to go, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. I need to be doing it like Jane over here. She's killing it. And she didn't have a book of business like I do.
Interesting. I mean, now I'm curious, like if you could teach me how to close in like a couple minutes, like what advice would you give me?
I mean, it's kind of the whole theme of the event. It's not business as usual. If you don't buy it, somebody else will. It's, that's fine. If you can't make a decision today, that's not a big deal. But when they see the crowd and the competition and they know this is kind of a once every few years thing or once in a lifetime thing, it makes the closing a lot easier.
Right. The whole ambiance of the event. But is there something specific in the interpersonal interaction? Like
there's little tweaks that, our sales conductors will talk to them about during the event. But again, trade secrets.
How do you go about deciding pricing?
Every store is different. So, we work hand in hand with the owner to talk about what we want the initial discounts to be. And then, as it goes along further, more discounts. But, we're very detailed on, we want this event to be profitable. So, and that's another advantage for us coming in is that we've done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and these store owners have not done anything like this. So they literally don't know. So they could run their own closing sale and go, okay, well, I know I got to mark down my prices. Let's go. But okay, where should you start? Where should you end? They don't know. So, I mean, when we do the pricing and we know where to price the stuff that's, no brainers that they sell all the time versus stuff that they've had sitting around a while, the stuff that are just really ugly dogs that have been there for 20, 30 years. So, that's another reason people hire us, is because the margins are really better when we do something than if they try to run it themselves.
How about this? I'm going to pretend I own a furniture store and I want to run an event. I'm thinking about pricing strategy. I'm going to give you how I would go about it, and maybe you could critique me a little bit. So let's say we're a furniture store. We do $5 to $10 million. We're in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, like more suburban, but like mid to high income, median income. So like high wealth suburban area. And we're also medium to high end brand as well. So one aspect of the pricing strategy, I would offer like incentive flyers. So like the first 100 people who get this direct mailer and come to the store, they're going to get an extra discount on top of the sale. And then for the best-selling items that we know are going to do well regardless, we're offering probably a small discount on if they're, because like those items are probably going to sell anyway. So if we can offer like an additional 5-10% off, I think that's going to be sufficient. The stuff that's just not moving, that's been sitting on my sales floor for a while or in my warehouse, those are where I'm going to offer deep discounts. I'm also going to combine that with some loss leading products. And so when you see the ad or on the flyer, you're going to see a couple deals that are really incredible, but they're limited in quantity. And so maybe like, Best Buy and Black Friday, they have a couple TVs that like, oh my God, I can get a 60-inch TV for like $250, $300, something like that. The smaller items, like on the lower end of MSRP, I'm offering $1 discount on. So if it's like $100 item, instead of saying like 10-15% off, I'm just going to say like $20 off, $25 off. The higher end items that are expensive, I'm going to offer a percentage off on. So that's roughly how I would go about thinking about pricing and generating hype. What would you critique or improve on?
I would say that is way too confusing. It's like you have to be a mathematician to figure out what you don't know. So to me, when we do these events, when we start out, we don't even advertise pricing. So because you want there to be an element of kind of mystery and intrigue and be like, whoa, because what we're trying to do is get people in the store. Now, that's a great strategy when you get people in the store to say, okay, so here's what we've got over here. This stuff over here, we've marked out extra. We've had them around for a while. We're wanting to move it. This stuff over here is what we've got accessories we've had, here for eons, 50, 60 off. That's great. But as far as advertising all that, sometimes you see all these things where this group is this. So when we do an event, we don't do that. Now, as the event goes along, we'll advertise, some percentages and stuff like that. But usually out of the gate, we don't say anything like that.
Got it. So like the main message being broadcast is more like the event is happening. And then as it goes on, you can get a little more specific with the details of what's on offer. And then it's when they're actually in the store where some of these, pricing strategies might actually be in effect because they're actually in the store at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So the advertising job is to just get them in the store. And if you throw all these crazy discounts and numbers at them, they're just going to be overwhelmed and go, I don't even know what the heck this is. So I'm not going to sit at home.
So like advertising wise, you wouldn't do something like the Best Buy flyer, right? Where it's like, we have this TV for like $100, but there's only 10 of them.
We don't. But yes, in their everyday retail sales environment, yeah, they probably do that. Yeah. But for a high impact, trying to maximize traffic in your store, we do not do that.
Very interesting. Yeah. And, I think one thing is this kind of event, it's once a year, like once every 3-year event, it's just different, right? Than even like a normal quarterly sale or something like that. And so it's not to discourage people from trying that tactic where you have the $100 TV, but there's only 5 of them, like the loss leader strategy, because it might work. Who knows, right? Like in a different situation, different environment. Okay, very, very insightful. So we're running at the end of our time here, but the final thing I wanted to go over is the day of, right? Like, so your floor is ready, your salespeople are trained. Like, what is one thing that you have to keep top of mind, like while the sale is running, to ensure that things are running smoothly and successfully?
Well, the number one thing thing is for our salespeople to focus on selling. So we always have, the salespeople out on the sales floor. When somebody is wanting to buy something, we have them write up a ticket, and then we say, okay, here's your ticket, and you go pay for this at the, line up at the cashier and pay for that. So, we're trying to maximize the number of people that the salespeople can help, which in the first few days of these events can be difficult. And sometimes, we've got 50 people in line trying to buy something. But if all the salespeople were waiting in line with them to help them out, then there wouldn't be anybody selling. So, that's the most important thing, is the salespeople using their time efficiently to sell rather than the entire sales process.
Right. Processing the transaction, stuff like that. I see. So you have like a separate team that's responsible for checking people out.
I mean, usually it's the in-house team that does that. And same with so a lot of these stores, they'll enter the order on the computer and do all that. We say, okay, you can do that later. Right now, let's just write up paper tickets and have it ready to go, because we want to churn and burn, we want to get through, sell as much as we can to maximize, because the first, usually the first day of the sale, we're doing 10 to 15% of the overall sales of this event on day one. So, if I tell them, they're going to do $1 million in this event, that first day they're going to do 100,000. So we need to hit that 100,000 so this event is successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like there's the most energy and excitement on the launch. And I'm guessing because that tapers off over time, are there any strategies that you've developed to keep trying to revive excitement throughout?
Oh yeah. So one thing that we do is we close the store every Wednesday. So after the event has started. And when we do that, we say we're closing the store to bring in new inventory, mark down prices, blah, blah, blah. So we always kind of have a new thing every week so people don't just come in once, they're coming in week to week or once every couple of weeks to see what else is going on.
Okay, got it. And then final question is, what about upselling? Is there a plan or strategy for that? People are coming in for the big items, so for sectionals,
Yeah, there's a lot of upselling. Just like I mentioned, the rugs. Rugs are something that typically most people aren't coming in for. Most stores don't sell them very well. And in these events, we do 10 to 20% of rugs, which, if somebody's spending 10 grand in there, they're going to spend, maybe another 2,000 or 3,000 on just a rug. So yeah. And then obviously we try and sell things as a group rather than piecemeal it, which helps, bring the ticket size up. But yeah, there's definitely upselling involved. And we do a lot. People are always amazed. We do a lot of special order business in these events as well. Even if the store is closing. I mean, I've got one going on right now where we've done $2 million in sales, and this is a closing event, $1 million off the floor, $1 million special order. So, owners are always amazed that we can do that, but we know we can do that, and we have the people that know how to do it too. So
interesting. And generally, you think that the most valuable upsells for a furniture store are probably rugs then?
Yeah, that or groups. I mean, obviously they're like, oh, if you came in for a living room, great. We also have great prices on mattresses, bedroom stuff too. But yeah, they're always, and that's part of the training is the upselling as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's an entire discussion that we could have just on.
Yep. Right.
Chris, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for jumping on the Couch Pod today, breaking down how to run an amazing sale. We've learned so much in this short period of time. I'd love to bring you on as a guest in the future as well. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me.
Cool. Till next time.
All right.